she liked putting herself in these traumatic situations because she liked the attention of like, I'm here to help. And she also, I do have written down that she wanted to impress the security guard.
Healthcare horrors. Murder. Welcome to another episode of Healthcare Horrors.
Yes, we got to get through this so Alicia can make a bunch of calls. She's very busy.
I am, but
busy,
you know
busy.
what? I am enjoying this part of my day.
Hashtag recruiter life.
I'm so busy.
So yeah, that is Alicia.
I'm your veteran recruiter.
I am Ashley, a brand specialist. And there's Dolan.
On the knobs again.
I love how that became a thing.
Yep. For sure. So last time we talked about Gwendolyn Graham and Kathy Wood, the nursing aides who killed elderly patients as a sick game and to fuel their love life. So check that out if you didn't already listen to it. And today we're going to get into Kristen Gilbert.
Yes, well, and when we decide these, we just kind of pick people kind of at random. Sometimes we stick with the theme, but I'm really glad that we ended up on Kristen Gilbert. And we must have talked about doing her before because she was in my search history already.
Oh, interesting.
So we must have talked about doing her before.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Well, Kristen Gilbert, let's get into it. She was born Kristen Heather Strickland on November 13th, 1967, making her a Scorpio. Scorpio. I have to bring it back with the astrology. I realized I was forgetting. So,
bring it back around.
Yep. So Scorpios are famously discreet and secretive.
Ooh,
We'll see if
like this.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes into play here. She was born in Fall River, Massachusetts, and she was raised in a family of a working dad, and her mother was a homemaker, and they lived in a well-to-do suburb. She was a gifted student, member of math club, and then she got into nursing, although mostly nothing was remarkable about her life or her growing up.
Yeah, she had a good childhood. She didn't have like a psycho father or anything. So.
No, and even into her adult life, everything just seems kind of fine. But she was described as kind of an oddball. Friends and former boyfriends would say that she was manipulative and someone who lied a lot.
Yes. So I did have written that like her demeanor changed, like maybe she kind of turned into a bit of an oddball like after her younger sister was born. So there was like that resentment and she wanted attention. So yeah, that made her start lying a lot. And I thought it was interesting. One of the lies that she told was that she was related to Lizzie Borden. I don't know how a super young child, like I don't know how old she was, but if she was super young, I don't know where she would find out about Lizzie Borden.
The library.
Maybe. But like you said, they live in Fall River, and so Lizzie Borden and this little massacre happened in Fall River. And for you true crime fans who don't know Lizzie Borden, she killed her father and stepmother with an axe in like the late 17th century.
I'm sure that that it happened in the same town, so I'm sure that it was like a thing that was commonly talked about, or
for sure.
And sure there was a special house where
and that house is actually a bed and breakfast now.
Fun.
Yeah, when we went to Salem over Halloween, we really wanted to go at least check out the bed and breakfast and maybe stay there, but we just didn't get to it. But one day we'll go check it out, and you can like sit on the couch that her father was murdered on and was covered in blood at one point.
Is like the stains still there?
Oh,
like...
probably. I'm pretty sure it was like reupholstered. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm one for a thrill, but I'm not trying to get haunted because knowingly sitting on something like that just screams like taking bad energy home with you.
You got to be respectful, I feel like. But I just thought that was interesting that was one of the lies Kristen told us, that she was related to Lizzie Borden.
Well,
so
I'm going to see how she identifies here with her in a little bit. She doesn't murder her family, but...
Yeah, she doesn't go crazy with an axe.
In 1984, while she was attending Bridgewater College, she suffered psychiatric episodes. During these episodes, she made violent threats against herself and others. One time, she even left a note for an ex-boyfriend and said that she had eaten glass and tried to kill herself, but it turns out that none of that was true. It was just her being manipulative and attention-seeking.
Mm-hmm.
And those are not things to joke or lie about.
No.
Then she went on to get her nursing degree at Greenfield Community College in 1988, when she then married Glenn Gilbert and began working at Northampton's Veterans Affairs Medical Center. Her work at the Northampton VA Hospital was rewarding, challenging, and exciting in the beginning, I would say, because I think eventually this starts to lose its charm. Her coworkers liked her, and she reportedly organized a yearly gift exchange for disadvantaged families.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, she and her husband had 2 children, and she maintained a very busy social life despite being a mother of 2, a wife, and a full-time nurse. Her superiors at the hospital were pleased with her capability and her work. All should have been well, but this kind of life perhaps was not quite up to her standards of excitement and thrill. So to recap, Kristen was pretty well liked and intelligent. She has been described as like having like that look of a soccer mom and just someone who looks really nice.
Mm-hmm. I had that she was like on the cover of a magazine. I don't know if you had that anywhere in there, but
no, but I believe it.
Yeah, I guess she was like just very pretty and photogenic, and she was on the cover of the VA Practitioner in April of 1990. There you go.
Get it, girl. No. But her facade of being an ordinary working mother covered much more than
the fact that she was
secrets.
Not mentally stable.
Yeah.
Which we will, find out.
Which I think it's interesting that all these articles say that like she was normal and that nothing unusual was going on, but like at the same time she had been having these psychotic episodes and she's been described as manipulative, so it's all kind of contradictory. So I think maybe when people first encountered her or just assumed maybe that she was like a calm, easygoing, nurturing person.
She bounced back and forth between elation and depression. So she was like very upbeat and awesome. And then the next minute she was just depressed. She had anxiety, threatened suicide.
So like that's kind of like the symptoms of like bipolar disorder is, you're manic and then you're down and then you're manic and then you're down. So, I mean, and that could have played a role. So she goes on to be convicted of murder, and she definitely killed a lot more people than she was convicted for. And so basically things kind of go downhill from here. And that's where we leave it to Ashley.
So, her marriage eventually kind of falls apart. It's like right after she has her second son, she began having an affair with one of the security guards at the hospital. Ironically, at this time, her husband, Glenn, was also hospitalized. His potassium levels were extremely low, which was odd for someone who was young and in good health. So later, suspicions pointed to Kristen possibly drugging him. We don't know for sure. Once Glenn did recover and he was out of the hospital, they eventually split up and got a divorce. And Kristen was just obviously over the mom and wife life and left the children with Glenn and just peaced out. Meanwhile, patients are... So at the hospital she's working at, I guess some nurses kind of started pointing fun at Kristen being the angel of death due to the increasing amount of patients dying there.
On her shift.
And they were just kind of like, oh, you're the angel of death. But so patients are dying at alarming rates during her shift, and the staff kind of starts getting a little suspicious.
Yeah, but everyone's still kind of joking about it. But I think this is why her and the security guard end up kind of ending things, because he's hearing all of this.
That could be good for him. So I don't have like a crazy drawn out timeline like I usually have of, this was her first victim and this is how she killed them, because it was just so sporadic. Like, she killed a lot and we don't know exactly how many.
So I've just got a little piece here so it says that she had killed all these people over a 7-year span, and that she was on duty during half of the wards who had passed away during that time. She was on duty. On duty. Oh my God. Just send me home. Okay. So anyways, there were 350 deaths over that 7-year span, and the odds of that being an accident, that she was on shift for over half of them, are 1 in a million for that to be an accident. So,
Oof. Yeah, we don't know for sure how many victims were hers.
The odds are 1 in 100 million. I can't read.
So even worse?
Yes, so even worse. 1 in 100 million.
Yikes.
So it's likely that those were all her.
Oh my gosh. One of her victims was a Korean War veteran named Stanley Yagodowski. We'll go with that. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
The pause between first name and last name, I thought he was just like Stan Lee's namesake. Because you're like Stan Lee, and I'm like, what?
4 hours later. Yagodowski. So Kristen was seen entering his room with a syringe, and shortly after exiting, Stanley began shouting about his arm hurting. Soon after, medics came to the scene and tried helping him. He died of cardiac arrest. This was August 21st, 1995. So after 3 of her colleagues reported their suspicions and reported the odd amount of cardiac arrest deaths in the hospital, that's when the hospital administration took action. It turns out that vials of epinephrine were missing, and sure enough, 4 of the exhumed bodies had high levels of epinephrine in their system. So for those of us who don't know exactly what epinephrine is, this drug mimics adrenaline, which makes the heart race uncontrollably in high doses and eventually fail. It's commonly used to treat severe allergic reactions. So the hospital, they're doing their investigating, and they noticed that vials were missing, and that is when they called the police. So I would assume that the police, they start investigating further, and they notice that Kristen was around during a lot of these deaths. They put the pieces together. They visit Kristen's apartment, where they find the missing drugs. You gotta dispose of the evidence.
I know. I listened back to kind of some parts of our episodes, and I realized like I'm always like getting frustrated at how bad these people are at covering up their crimes, because they think they're so smart, and that's their whole thing, is they're smarter than everybody else. They can't even do the simple things, like don't store it at your own house.
Yeah. Dig a hole in the back. I'm just kidding.
Like,
I
just
don't know.
have a better hiding spot. And like, not, this isn't an instruction manual on like how to, but like just use some logic. That's it. That's all I want from murderers here on out.
So this, of course, led to her arrest and being charged with the murders of Henry Hudin, I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. He was 35, Kenneth Cutting, 41, Edward Skewing, 69, and Stanley Yagodowski, as well as attempting to kill many, many more. And her process was the same every time. She gave them epinephrine. So, yeah, cardiac arrests were happening everywhere.
So actually, I have even before Stanley Yagodowski is a victim or is under her, crazy
her
care.
Wing, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, what do we even call it? What's even a good, accurate word for this?
Right.
Well, Kristen has been trying to kill her husband.
Okay, so
Her
there was more on
ex-husband.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
there is. So when their marriage began to dissolve, she started cooking him, like preparing home-cooked meals for him that were laced with some type of drug that was increasing her husband's frequency of peeing, I guess. Before trial, prosecutors claimed that Glenn Gilbert told them that his wife was trying to have him out of the house by Thanksgiving. So he started to get really sick. He was taken to an emergency room by Kristen. He fell ill again just a week later after being released from the emergency room. She had allegedly tried to poison her husband, Glenn, while he was receiving care at Cooley Dickinson, which is a local civilian hospital.
Oh, jeez.
She said she wanted to take a blood sample from her husband herself and have it tested later at a hospital where she worked. But what she was really doing was she had a syringe filled with a clear liquid, and she told her husband Glenn that it was just a saline solution. But as soon as she inserted the needle, Glenn reported that his arm grew cold and that when he tried to pull away from his wife, she pinned him against the wall with her hip.
Dang.
He survived the incident, though, with not without great reservations about his wife, I would say. And shortly after he was released from the hospital, Kristen left her husband and children for James Perrault, the security guard. So,
yeah, I didn't have anything more like really on him being hospitalized and everything. That's crazy.
So it started with him, and then she's just moving down the line.
Yeah.
And so, and actually, her the breakup with Perrault actually is because this all started with Stanley Yagodowski. Yeah, I know, we just keep saying that word. It's kind of a fun word to say. So another nurse allegedly heard him crying in pain before Kristen left his room, and he had died of cardiac arrest later that night. So no one, and obviously no one thought that she was capable of this, but Perrault heard about it. Oh, okay. So he needed some type of treatment, and he refused treatment from her because he kept hearing the rumor that people are dying around here for no reason. Patients are talking about it. Staff is talking about it. The staff is talking to the patients about it. Even though Gilbert mostly went unsuspected. Yeah, he was like, no, this lady's not touching me.
Oh, man.
Actually, allegations of abuse started when she was a home health aide. So before she was even a nurse. Violent threats, pattern of manipulation. Nurses filed formal inquiry in February 1996 based on their suspicions. But by then, Gilbert had quit her job and was institutionalized for a suicide attempt. From the psychiatric ward, she called James Perrault and declared to him, I did it. You wanted to know? I killed all those guys by injection.
Oh.
So James Perrault went to the authorities, and then in a frenzied phase, Gilbert called in a bomb threat to the hospital.
Oh, man.
Yep. So basically that's it.
Okay. Jeez. Yeah.
Wait, how did that resolve? The bomb threat? Just...
No notes. They probably realized it was her. And, yeah.
Crazy.
She's just causing chaos.
Crazy.
Trying to get out of it. So, yes, the final amount of deaths are unknown. She is convicted in March 14th, 2001 in federal court because her crimes were on a federal property. And so in the book that I was reading, I was just wondering, like, random. So are all hospitals considered federal property, or is it just the VA hospital she was working in because it's VA?
I think just VA hospitals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of hospitals are public or private businesses.
Okay. I just was reading and it's like, that's just, I don't know, random note I want to ask about. Right on. So Massachusetts doesn't have capital punishment, but she was eligible for the death penalty.
By lethal injection.
Yeah.
It would have been.
Probably. I don't think they do any of the other ones. Well, electric chair. Do they even do that?
Some states, I think,
Do
did
still?
at that time. I don't think anyone does it now. I think, don't yell at me, Texas. But the last thing I heard about, like, the electric chair, I think it came out of Texas. So
I was going to say, I thought Texas did, but I don't know. Maybe with the lethal injection drug being so...
Don't come for us, all ye Texans.
Yeah.
We don't know. Let us know if we're wrong. All right. She is currently incarcerated in a federal prison in Texas. Her sentence was life plus 20 years without the possibility of parole. We don't know exactly what her motives are, and we can talk about this a little bit. Like, in her earlier life, she lied a lot. She obviously liked attention, was manipulative, and she may have had Munchausen by proxy syndrome, like Beverly Allett.
I saw her compared to Jane Toppin as well, because she really liked kind of the thrill and the excitement, and there was kind of like a little bit of like a sexual aspect to it, because apparently, like, during some of, like, when these patients were dying, her and James Perrault were like playing footsie and all that kind of stuff. So, like, just this other, like, weird, childish, stuff going on.
Yeah. She liked putting herself in these traumatic situations because she liked the attention of, like, I'm here to help. And she also, I do have written down that she wanted to impress the security guard.
Like, well,
James.
and, like, she liked to, like, sometimes swoop back in and bring them, like, back to normal,
back to life.
and then just keep, like, kind of playing this game.
Yeah. So as far as motives go, that's, I mean,
Nobody
gotta
really
be
knows.
it.
It's just...
Yeah, she had a lot of great things going for her in her childhood and
I think
school.
I think she thought it was boring.
Yeah. It's not exciting enough. So killing people is, again, roller coasters, or maybe go skiing or something. I don't know.
I know, right? Bungee jumping.
Go bungee jumping.
Jump out of an airplane.
Do that.
Yeah,
Don't
right.
kill people.
Don't kill people. I know, that was a whirlwind, huh?
Yeah, that's crazy.
When I was first reading about her, they made her seem like it was all calm and it was all good, and, like, I'm like, was not calm and all good. Not at all. I feel bad for her poor children. Oh, her victims, obviously, but man.
Yeah,
that's so
victims,
tough.
victims' families. But yeah, her children, I was thinking about that too. Like, as we've talked about all these people who've done things and they have kids, like, what's going on in the kids' head? Like, they change their names so they don't want to associate. Yeah.
Thinking as, like, a parent myself, I'm just like, how could you put your kid in that position? Like, that's just crappy.
But psychopaths don't think the same way we do.
I know.
All right. Don't do the things that Kristen Gilbert would do.
Nothing that she would do ever.
Don't abuse epinephrine and give all of your patients heart attacks. Next time, we are talking about Elizabeth Wetlaufer, a Canadian nurse who, well, I don't want to give too many details, so we'll just leave it at that.
Who murdered?
Who murdered people?
Oof.
Murder.
It's actually kind of a creepy story, so definitely tune in for that one. She hears voices. That's all I will say.
Tune in next time for the next episode and listen to us talk more about horrible healthcare horrors.
Peace
Send
out.
me home.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Murder.
Thank you for listening to Healthcare Horrors, brought to you by Atlas MedStaff. Just a reminder, we are not healthcare professionals. We are just fans of true crime, talking about some of history's darkest moments in healthcare. Stay tuned, stay healthy, and stay safe.